Hey, good morning or afternoon, everyone. This is Mark here, and today I'm going to take you through a little bit of Dynamic Ship, which gives you, as it says there, seamless shipping management inside Business Central. All right, now what we want to focus on, though, is Dynamic Ship. So Dynamic Ship allows you to do a lot more than that Order Ship Express that I just mentioned. So it's really a packaging tool, allows you to do packaging, allows you to do tracking, all sorts of things. And we integrate with really hundreds of different carriers. So we have the potential to integrate with pretty much any carrier you need. If we don't have a connection to the carrier you need, we can build a connection to the carrier you need or to another API. So we do parcel, LTL, full truckload, we do all of that from within the system, and it's all done from within Business Central. So instead of integrating with UPS WorldShip or Ship Manager or those other tools, we effectively replace them. And all you're doing is doing all your shipping right within Business Central. All right, so some of those things I already mentioned, right? We do the bills of lading and labeling for parcel, LTL, FTL. A lot of carriers. We can do rate shopping and quoting directly from a sales quote or a sales order. So if you need to quote on shipping charges, you can do that right when you're doing the order entry or the quote entry. We've got very good address validation set up in there. And all of the rates and the details that we're dealing with, those are online connections to your carriers. So that's using your account numbers to get back the rates and all the details. So there's nothing you have to maintain within the system as far as rates or anything else like that. Now, as far as how you use it, we have lots of different packaging options. So you can go in there, and I'll show you the very difficult way of using it, which is actually quite simple, and the easy way of using it, where I can just go in and say, hey, give me 3 shipping labels, and you get it. Or I can explicitly say which items are in this pallet or in this box, and I can build up very specific box and pallet definitions and get labels for those. And that's also used if we're integrating with EDI. So you can go in and now send an ASN document through your EDI provider, all of those sorts of things, because we've got that package level detail. And then the last point here is that ability to use these applications in a broader context in your warehouse. So we already talked about WMS Express. We also have a full product called Warehouse Insight, which is a very robust warehouse management solution. But Dynamic Ship is just one part of your sort of fulfillment operations. You need to be able to generate the picks or figure out what you're going to ship today, go out to the warehouse, get them, and then actually ship them out the door. So Dynamic Ship really sits at the end of that process. And we have a lot of solutions that streamline that process all the way through, even from purchasing all the way out. But if we look at just sort of the warehouse operations after we get an order in and we need to fulfill it, well, we've got something called the order fulfillment worksheet. And what that's going to do is tell you what you can ship today. So that's where you start. You say, what can I ship today? It tells you, you say, great, I'm going to ship all these orders. And when you do that, it'll generate the pick documents, or just print out a picking list by order or whatever you happen to be using. And then you can optionally use one of these products. So we talked about WMS Express, which is the free warehouse management, or we've got the subscription Warehouse Insight, which obviously does a lot more than the free product, but you can send out your pick documents or whatever you need to those. And Warehouse Insight can actually do that packaging from the handheld device. So we're going to show packaging from within Dynamic Ship. But if I'm building up a pallet, for an LTL shipment, or if I've got large boxes that I'm building up, I might want to be mobile and using a handheld device to scan all of that stuff and build up that pallet and everything else. Well, you can use Warehouse Insight to do that packaging. And then Dynamic Ship will get you bill of lading or your shipping labels and all those sorts of things. Anyway, these two are optional, and technically this guy is too. These are going to send out the picks to the warehouse. And then once we've got those picks done, we've picked the product off the shelf and we need to ship it out, we're going to send it off to one of the shipping applications. And we're going to focus on Dynamic Ship. But really, that's going to allow me to package all that product up, do my rate shopping, get my labels, get it out the door, send emails automatically, all the good stuff that does. Or you can just go to Order Ship Express, click a couple buttons, and you've got your shipping labels. So depending on how you want to work, either of these two may fulfill your needs. All right, let's go in and actually look at what this system looks like. So I'm going to come in here into Business Central, and I'm in a role center. I'm in the shipping and receiving role center for warehouse management, and that gets these Dynamic Ship options put on there. So there's a whole bunch of stuff we can do from this role center for packaging and all that kind of stuff right here. But before I go into these specific things for Dynamic Ship, I'm actually going to start at the sales order level. So I'm going to come in and we're going to look at a sales order to start with and just see some of the things we can do from the point of order entry. So when we're starting with order entry, what can we do? So I'm just going to open up this order here and we're going to look at a couple of things. So up at the top, there's a whole bunch of stuff related to shipping here. And some of these are Order Ship Express, where I can just say create shipping labels and it'll generate shipping labels for this particular order. And the rest of these guys are dynamic ship. So what I've got down here is, if I scroll down, we can see that under shipping, we've got no shipping agent set. We're going to actually come in and figure out what the best carrier to use is from this point and allow us to set that while we're doing the quote or the order. And I'm also looking at the address here, and we're going to mess with the address and do some address validation. Down here, you'll notice we've got some dynamic ship options that you can set. So things like, if I need to do third-party billing, right? So I want to bill the customer's account number or something like that, or if I want to set special handling instructions or all sorts of things, I can set all of that here on the sales order. All of this information can also default in from the customer. So if you're shipping UPS, to a customer and they always want you to use their account number, you can set that at the customer level and it'll bring in the UPS account number. But when I ship FedEx to that customer, I'm using my account number. So you can set all of those things up that will default in from the customer, or at the sales order level here, the person doing the sales order entry can set all these options as well. We can generate return labels. We can do all sorts of stuff by setting those various options. But I'm going to come in here and let's say I've manually entered this address, and this is an address in Canada here, of course, but let's say I forgot the zip code, the postal code here. That didn't come in and we've got a bad address. So the way we do address validations, there's a few ways we can do that. One is automatic. So when I create that customer, create the ship to code for that customer, it can validate the address right then and there. We can validate the address when I release the sales order. So it'll force me to do an address validation on release. And we can also do an address validation when I try and create the labels. So it'll just make sure the address is good before it actually attempts to do the labels. And if I don't validate the address and I try and generate a shipping label for an address that's not valid, well, it's just going to come back and say, hey, I can't generate a label for you because that address is not valid. So then I can come up here and hit this validate address. And again, this is available on vendors, customers, ship to addresses, contacts, all sorts, everywhere you can enter an address, this is available. And when I do that, what it's going to do is it's going to come in and it's going to say, hey, you know what? I found a problem with the postal code or the zip code. And it had enough other information about that address that it filled in that postal code for me automatically. Okay. Now, it's not always going to be able to correct it like that. Like if I didn't have, the actual street address and number and everything else, it's going to say, hey, you know what, you're missing something here, but I don't have enough detail to fill that in. But at least it's going to tell you what those issues are. And then it's going to come in and now my address is nice and valid. When I hit OK, it's going to allow me to update the customer or just the order as well. So that's basically it. Now, there was a question on, what this validation database is. Well, that uses a combination of the FedEx and USPS databases. So it works very well in North America, and it does work globally as well. So, European addresses and things like that can be validated, but it is, a lot of it is the North American address validation. But one of the nice things about this is, of course, you can install the trial version of Dynamic Ship and play with this address validation, everything else in here for 30 days without even talking to us if you don't want, and see how it works for you. All right. Now that was I've got a valid address. I've set all my options. I now want to see what it's going to cost me to ship this particular order. So the customer is saying, what's it going to cost me to get that out the door? Well, I can hit this freight quote here. And this is more often used with LTL and things like that. But there's a few options here we've got. One is I can choose the type of packaging I'm going to use for this order. So as a salesperson, I can manually come in here and say I'm shipping a pallet or a box or whatever. And incidentally, these are codes you define. So you define whatever types of packaging you use when you're doing your shipping. In this case, I'm going to say, this is going to ship out in 2 boxes. The weight is coming from the item master. So we know what the weight is. So we're saying we're going to ship 2 boxes with an average weight of 34 pounds a piece. And that's what we're going to use. I also have the ability to do auto pack. An auto pack doesn't make me guess at the number of boxes and weights and things like that. It'll suggest the number of packages and the package sizes I need to ship this specific order. So if you've got all your dimensions and everything set up and all your rules set up, AutoPack can give you an estimate of the type of packaging you need for this particular order. In this case, I'm just going to say I'm shipping, 2 boxes. And when I say get quotes, what it's doing now is it's going out to all of my carriers that I have set up in the system. So, I've got FedEx, I've got Purelator here because this is a Canadian shipment. I've got UPS, I've got all of these guys, and it's telling me what my options are. And if we look at this, actually I want to do the rate cost. This is what those carriers want to charge us. That's again, based on your account number, your contractual rates with those carriers. This is what they're going to charge us. And then some of the carriers will also return the list rate. That's the published rate on their website. So if I went in without a FedEx account onto the FedEx website and tried to do a shipment, it's going to tell me it's going to cost $151 for this shipment. Clearly, I need a better account with FedEx because I'm not getting any discounts on that whatsoever. But this is what it would cost me if I went to the FedEx website. And again, it's carrier specific. So these guys here, these guys don't send us back the list rate, but we can still do markups and discounts and everything else on this. So if you look at this rate price, this is actually what we're going to charge the customer for that shipping. So you'll notice I get $0 shipping charge unless we do next day air. So we can set up all sorts of rules like that that say, based on the carrier, based on the service, based on the cost of the shipping, based on the order value, the customer type, all of that criteria. We can do markups, discounts, flat rates, handling charges, all of those sorts of things. Anyway, so now if I come in here and I choose one of these guys, what it's going to do is it's going to come in and it's going to add that freight quote onto the sales order. And if we scroll over here, you can see this is what we're expecting to pay for the shipping. This is what we're going to charge the customer. You're thinking, hey, they were supposed to get free shipping on everything. Well, that's true because we also gave them 100% discount. So you can see here we did a markup and a discount so that it looks all nice and fancy on their invoice, that they're getting this great deal on shipping. And again, the reason they're getting this 100% discount is because I've got a rule set up that says if their order value is over $1,000, they get this free shipping. Now, when we actually go to ship this, if I use more than 2 boxes, or if the actual rate, I choose a different service or something like that for some reason, we'll update this unit cost here. We can also update the price we're charging if we like, or because this is what we've quoted, we just leave this the same and we'll update the cost. And the value in that is we now know exactly what we're paying for shipping and what we've charged the customer. So I'll show you a dashboard a little later where we can tell you if you're making or losing money on your shipping by customer, by state, by carrier, by whatever criteria you want to use, because we track the actual cost and what we've actually billed for that shipping. Okay. And then down here, of course, now I've set this to UPS expedited and we're good to go. The sales order is ready. We can actually go out and ship it. So again, what I would typically do when you're dealing with this stuff is I'd use the fulfillment worksheet. I'm not going to get into this in a ton of detail, but the fulfillment worksheet answers the question that every warehouse person has, and every warehouse supervisor is, what do I need to go out and grab from the warehouse to ship today? What can I actually ship today? So what this is doing is it's going in and it's looking at all my back orders. It's going by the planned shipment date. So it'll look at the back orders and it'll look at any of the upcoming orders based on the date by default, but I can sort by, order value or customer or whatever. I can group by whatever criteria I like. And what it's telling me is what I can actually get out the door today. So on this one here, it's partially available to ship. And we can see down here, I can ship this item, but the other items are unavailable for me to ship today. This guy here is fully available to ship. I can ship everything on that order. And what it's doing is it's doing dynamic allocation here. So here I've got 28 of these things in the warehouse that I can pick. And this works with any location configuration. You don't have to have bins turned on. You don't have to have warehouse picks turned on or inventory picks or any of that turned on. This will give you all of the same information regardless of your location configuration. So anyway, this one is telling me I've got 28 that I can choose. This guy needs 15. Well, the next order that needs this particular item is now going to only have 13 to choose from because we've dynamically allocated those 15 to this first order. So again, it'll go through and tell me what I can ship and what I can't ship. I can come in here, select all the guys that I want to ship, right? Maybe I want to do all of those guys or set a filter or whatever I like. And then I can create the picks or just print out the picking list by order if you're picking directly to sales order. Okay, so that gets it out the door in the warehouse. and then I go out and I pick all of that product and I drop it off now for packaging, or maybe I'm the person doing the packaging. And the way we typically do that is we go into the package worksheet. So again, I've got my pick documents or packing slips or whatever you're going to be using for picking those items from the warehouse. And now I'm going to bring it up to this packaging area where I'm actually going to package those items up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I've got a little USB barcode scanner here attached to this packaging station. So if you're using WorldShip or Ship Manager or whatever you've got sitting out there, you've probably got a terminal, a computer out there for generating your shipping labels. Well, this is the only screen that you'll probably ever have to run on that terminal, because this is where I'm going to do all my packaging and everything else. So somebody drops off, you know, the product that they've picked from the warehouse. I walk up to the terminal and we've got a barcode on the pick ticket. So to get that barcode, you can use our barcode generator tool that comes with a bunch of sample reports that have barcodes on the pick tickets and everything else. You can have your own barcodes, whatever you like, or I can just select the order that I want to package up from a list or type it in if I like. But for me, barcode scanning is the way to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the barcode for that particular order. It brings it up. This is the one that, you know, we already chose UPS Expedited for. So it brings that order up and shows me everything I need to package. Now, we've got a few ways we can do this packaging. There's the really easy way and there's the really hard way. And again, the really hard way is actually pretty darn easy. But if I want to do this the easy way, I can do something called quick label. And a quick label just means I'd scan a command or enter a command up here that lets me just come in here, enter the packages that I'm shipping. So I can choose a template, like I can say, hey, I'm shipping one large box and one small box. And this one is, you know, 5 pounds and this one's 10 pounds. And of course, you can change units and measure and all that stuff. I can read the weight from a scale if I like. And then I say, get me my label, and it'll print out my shipping label. Simple as that. So that's one option. I don't have to do anything fancy. I simply come in and say, these are the boxes I'm shipping. Give me some shipping labels, and I'm good to go. I can also do this from the sales order as well. I don't have to go into the package worksheet or whatever. I can do it from the sales order, warehouse shipment, or whatever you like. All right, but again, for me, I'm going to do it the hard way. And what does the hard way mean? The hard way means I'm going to scan every item that I'm packaging. So if you have barcodes on your items, this is the way to go, because I'm getting that physical verification that, yes, I am actually packaging this product, and I'm not just packaging another white box that looks exactly like this white box, but it's a completely different product. And what that does is it prevents you from doing misshipments. I'm never going to ship the wrong product because I'm going to scan it and I know that's the right item for this particular order. Now, if you don't have barcodes, you can do that quick label, or you can go in and use the mouse and the keyboard to, you know, use the menu items here to do your packaging or edit lines, and I can package everything manually if I want to record which items are going into which box. If you don't care which items are going into which box, you use the quick label. I care about which items are going into which box because maybe I want to send an ASN through the EDI provider, or maybe I want to, I need a bill of lading that breaks it out, or whatever it happens to be. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to start scanning commands. And those commands, anything that you see on the menu here, like, you know, if I wanted to read the weight from a scale or whatever, you know, all of these sorts of things that I've got here, instead of using the mouse and the keyboard, I've got a cheat sheet of barcodes in front of me. It's got, you know, 10 barcodes with the typical commands that I use, and I'm going to scan those. So now I don't have to use the mouse and the keyboard to execute any of my actions within this screen. So the first thing I'm going to do is it says, hey, scan a package to pack. Well, I don't have a package yet. I didn't use my Warehouse Insight product, you know, using the handhelds to package things before I dropped it off at shipping. So now I look at this and I say, you know what? Yeah, that's going to use a normal size box. So I scan a command, a template that says, yeah, we're going to use a standard box size, and it defaults in my dimensions, 20 by 12 by 8, and we're good to go. I can change those dimensions either by scanning a command or using edit here. So I can update the dimensions to whatever I like. If I cut the box down or something like that, or need to change the box size, I can do that. And we're starting here with a default weight of, or starting weight of 0 pounds, and away I go. And again, the units of measure could be pounds, kilograms, whatever you like. Now that I've got my box, I know I'm going to be packaging everything into this box number 325. I simply start scanning the items that I'm packaging. So the way I've got it set up, when I scan that item, it packages one at a time. Now you can also have a prompt for a quantity that you're packaging. So you could scan that and say, yeah, I packaged all 3 of these in this box. but every time I scan, it's just going to package, increment this packaged quantity. I should also mention that we can capture your lot numbers and serial numbers here as well. So if you want to capture lot numbers on your shipments or your serial numbers on your shipments, I can scan those in and we'll capture those and store them within the system as well. All right, now back to this, I'm going to scan that guy again, so you can see now we've got 2 of those packed into this box, and let's pack one of those guys in there. So I've got these items, these 3 pieces and these 2 items packed into box 325, and you can see it's calculated the weight of that box for me based on the weights within Business Central. But again, I could come in, if I've got a scale connected and I just want to read the weight of this box, if I had a scale connected, that would automatically read this weight from a scale and bring it in for me. Because I don't have a scale, I can manually type in that weight if I like, and we're good to go. Now, let's pretend that I filled up this box. Physically, it's completely full, so I need to start another box to pack the remaining items. So what I'm going to do is, again, just scan the command for that, and then I'm going to pack my last remaining items into that box. So now you can see we've got 2 boxes here, 326, 325. We've got all the weights. We've got, where we're supposed to ship it. This happens to be a shipment within Canada again. We've got our total weights and package count and any instructions we need for packaging, and we're good to go. So the next step now is for me to get my shipping label. Everything is fully packed. I need a shipping label. So what do? Guess what? I scan a command to get my shipping label. So I go beep, get label, and what it does, and in a production system, it's usually about 3 seconds, and I've got my label sitting on the printer beside me. I've got it set up to pop up this print preview. Normally you don't see this in the real world, but I've got it set up so that we can actually look at what that label looks like, and it's not really rocket magic. It's UPS label. I've got box 1 of 2, box 2 of 2. You'd get the UPS barcode and all that kind of stuff here. So I'll pop my shipping labels on my label printer or my laser printer, whatever you're using. Label printer, by the way, is the best way to go. And I'm good. I slap those on the box and out the door it goes. And then I can come in and start working on my next order. Simple as that. So somebody drops off things I need to pack, or I go out into the warehouse, grab the things I need to pack. I come back here, bring up that order, either say, hey, I've got 3 boxes with these dimensions and weights, give me some labels, or I explicitly scan each individual item into each individual box, which, as I mentioned, that's the hard way to do it. But if you look back at what I just did, the total interaction with the system was maybe 10 or 15 seconds. Like, other than the act of physically packing those items into the box, I spent like 10 or 15 seconds in Dynamic Ship, and I've got my shipping labels. It's really, really easy. If you have barcodes on your items, that is the way to go. Now, those 10 to 15 seconds I spent working inside Dynamic Ship to get those shipping labels, not only did I get the shipping labels, but I also notified the customer that their order is on the way. So if I go in here, and I'm just going to switch over to Gmail, if I come into Gmail, I'll have an order, or sorry, an email that just came in, right? So 1 minute ago when I shipped that order, that gives me the details of that order. Now, you can make this look however you like. You can have different templates for different customers or languages or states or whatever you want. And this came from customer service. And again, you can put whatever you like in here, list of the items that were shipped, the totals, whatever you like, or you can attach a PDF copy of the packing slip or the order confirmation or the invoice as a PDF to this email. And by the way, I've got another one here. You can use the word layouts within Business Central to make these things as fancy as you like. You can put your logo in here, you can do whatever you like, put links in there, whatever you want. Again, you can make those emails as fancy as you like. But for this particular one, you'll notice we've got a tracking link here. So for any of the parcel carriers who we support, this tracking link can either go to UPS, or when I hit that, what it's going to do, it's going to open it up in a new page here. It's going to take the customer to a web page that has your logo on it, your links, your advertising, all of that kind of stuff, right? So if you don't have an existing customer portal or e-commerce site, this is great, because you've now got a branded tracking page that the customers are going to see, and it's almost, this is sort of the starting point. Everybody kind of needs this type of interface. You don't want to send them to UPS and all that kind of stuff. You want them to come to a page that looks good, has all your stuff on it. And this is also how you get your marketing guys to pay for your shipping software, because they love this stuff. Anyway, we get all the same level of detail as if we went to the UPS site, right? All the events that occurred. We have a nice little progress bar, and this updates in real time in the demo system. It updates every 30 seconds or so. But you've got all this level of detail. It's a nice interface for the customers to come in and see, and we can send that email directly. So again, that 10 or 15 seconds that I spent in there, and we've done all of this stuff. And actually, if I go back to that order, well, actually, I don't really need to. I was going to go back to that order I shipped and just show you we've updated the shipping rates and everything on the sales order if they've changed. But in this case, they hadn't changed. I use the same packaging and everything else, and that shipping cost would stay the same. But if it had been different, like if I'd used 10 packages instead of the 2 we estimated, that shipping rate would have been higher, and it would have updated on that sales order, and then we can do that reporting on it. Now, for this particular order, since I'm on here, I'll just mention this order happens to be a shipment from my US location up into Canada. So this is an international shipment. And so on this particular one, I need some customs documentation for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in and I'm going to package one of these items on here. So I'm just going to pack that order. So this is me without scanning barcodes. I just packed those bikes on here. And this is going to be a partial shipment. I'm just going to ship these things, but I need customs documentation for that. So what do? I go in there and I scan a command again, or I can use the menus. And what it does is it opens up my, my commercial invoice page here for that customs. So my customs page. And all of the information you see here was defaulted in automatically. So if we look down, this is the item that I'm shipping, the value that comes off the sales order, and the quantity is what I'm actually shipping. The weight, the country of origin, the HS code, all of that kind of stuff comes in all automatically for me. So I don't have to do anything. If you've got this stuff set up on your item master, I don't have to do anything. This is my customs here. If you want, you can do other stuff, like if customers using a customs broker or something like that, I could set up all the details for the customs broker as a contact or a vendor or whatever I want to do. And it'll use that information for the customs broker. I can also do things like if you're using the AES, if you have that AES requirement in the US for customs, we can do an AES, it's hard to say, AES direct integration, but I can enter any additional customs information in here. So there's a few things I can do, but generally 95%, let's say, of the people out there, you don't have to do anything. You open this thing, and you might want to certify it that basically electronically signs this with your ID. We send this information to the carrier, and they'll use this electronically to clear customs. So you don't have to fill anything else out. You don't have to, have separate documents that you deal with, any of that sort of thing for the commercial invoice. It all happens right from here. And when we send this off to the carrier, we'll get the carrier's commercial invoice back. So we'd get a FedEx commercial invoice or UPS commercial invoice right from the carrier. Alternatively, we can go in and print our own commercial invoice, and this one comes from within Business Central, so you can tailor this and make it look however you want and add any additional detail you might need for your environment. Now, if there's additional customs documentation that you need, you may have to do that externally. We focus on really the commercial invoice and sending this detail to the carriers for them to do that customs clearing, or potentially to that customs broker to do that customs clearing. But again, 90% or more of the people out there, they never have to worry about it with international shipments because it's so easy. It sends it to the carrier automatically. There's no information to fill in. And that's great if you're doing a lot of international shipments because it really streamlines that process. And it's also great if you hardly ever do international shipments because everybody forgets how to do them. And again, this is so easy. It's all automated, and away you go. Now, to switch gears a little bit here, I'll talk about the remaining items on this order. These happen to be, well, a few of them anyway, these happen to be assemble to order components. So I'm actually shipping out a kit made up of these individual components. So you actually have the option of breaking these out into individual components. So if I'm shipping a kit, I can package those components independently of that finished good. So if I actually come in here, we'll look at the sales order here. So for anybody doing a assemble to order, this is very valuable. So if you look at that order, I've got this conference bundle, right? So I've got a bike conference bundle and a few other things here. And this conference bundle is actually made up of these individual components. Well, these two anyway. So what it actually did in the shipping is it broke these out into individual components that I can package independently. So we're not just packaging this finished good item, we're actually packaging the components for that finished good. Okay, so that's how that works. All right. Now, there's a few other things you can do within Dynamic Ship. So let's say, this is great if I've got a sales order or transfer order or warehouse shipment or something like that I'm shipping out. But what if I'm just sitting in the warehouse and I need to ship, a bunch of spare parts to another warehouse, or salesperson wants to, ship a sample off to a prospect, or accounting wants to ship a stack of documents to the lawyers or whatever. Well, we can do that through what we call a miscellaneous shipment. The miscellaneous shipment doesn't need a document, doesn't need a sales order, transfer order, warehouse shipment, or anything like that to work. I can simply come in here and say, you know what, I'm going to ship some stuff and junk out, and then I get to choose an address I'm going to ship that to. So you can choose from a built-in address, or customer vendor location, like I'm shipping from one warehouse to another, or a contact, like if it's a prospect and they're not a customer yet, or I can just manually enter the address I want to ship to. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to ship to my usual customer, these guys here, and it'll just default their address in, and I can change this if I like, all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to ship it from this location. And then what I do is I just say what I'm shipping. So I can say, you know what, I'm going to ship, a large box, and that's going to be my stuff, and it's going to be, whatever, 10 pounds. And then I'm going to ship, a standard box, and that's going to be my junk, and that's going to be 5 pounds, let's say. And that's it. So I just enter what I'm shipping here, and then exactly the same as what I did before, I go out and I get my shipping label, and that's it. So in this case here, because I don't have a shipping agent specified, when I go out to get that label, it's going to go out and it's going to give me all of the different options that I have for shipping this, and away I go. Now in this case, none of my carriers wanted to quote on that. So I've got the ability to also do external shipping. And that's kind of handy if you're using carriers that don't have an API, like it's just a local company that you're using for shipping things. I can come in here, and if I select that external, I'm on the phone with the guy and say, hey, I need to ship these boxes out today. Can you do it? Yes, what's the price, and all that kind of stuff. So I can come in here and use that external thing and just choose the actual carrier that I'm using. So in this case, I'd have like Joe's Hot Shot or whatever it happens to be, but I'm just going to go, it's external and ground, and they're going to charge me $123, and it's going to take them a day to deliver it. And that's their, tracking number, their pro bill or whatever. So I can do that as well. So instead of, if I don't have an integration with the carrier, I can use that external rate entry to still use the packaging capabilities, whether it's a miscellaneous shipment here, or whether I'm doing it from the package worksheet or the quick label. I can still use any carrier I want, even if I don't have an electronic connection to that carrier. And this can be used for your internal trucks and things like that as well. So if you want to use this to sort of, identify which trucks are doing the shipment and which ones you've loaded, you can use this as well. So that's a miscellaneous shipment capability. Now, one of the things we haven't talked about, I've been focusing on, sort of the parcel shipments, but we can also do LTL and FTL. So I'm just going to jump into this guy here, and we're going to look at how the LTL shipments are different. And spoiler alert, they're not different at all. So I was previously going into the package worksheet. Just for a change of pace, I'm going to go into order packaging. And order packaging is useful if you don't want to scan barcodes for the pick tickets and things like that. What it allows me to do is just select the orders that I'm working with from a list. Right, so here's a list of all the orders that I can ship. So sales orders, warehouse shipments, transfer orders, everything else. And I can come in here and I can choose the one I want to work with. And in this case, I've got the shipment going out to Central Park Zoo. So I'm going to open this guy up. And what it does is it shows me everything that we saw on the parcel stuff. This is exactly the same. If this was a shipment going out parcel, it would work exactly the same as what I showed you earlier. One of the differences here is when I open this up, you can see we've already got it packaged up. And that's likely because I built up all of these different pallets using Warehouse Insight. And again, you don't have to. I could build up these pallets here within Dynamic Ship, right? I just tell it, hey, I've got a pallet with these items on it. But if you're dealing with pallets, you might want Warehouse Insight because you've got a mobile device. You can walk around there and scan and build up the pallets. Or you could actually run this on a tablet if you like, and use a tablet to be more mobile while you're building these pallets and scanning the items that go into the pallets. Or if somebody just gives you a sheet of paper and says, you know, these items are in this pallet and those items are in that pallet, again, you can just do that in this interface. At any rate, these are already packaged up, right? You can see here I've got 3 pallets, total weight of 299 pounds, and I've got the shipment going out to Central Park Zoo in New York. So next thing I need to do is I need to get a carrier to deliver this stuff for me. So what do? I scan the command, I say get label, and what it's going to do now is it's going to go out to all my carriers, including my LTL carriers, and get me the rates. So it will ask the parcel guys to quote on this if you like, because maybe some will. But really what we're going to get back is all the rates that the LTL carriers are going to provide for me. And I've got about 65, I think, carriers set up in the system. So it does take a little while to quote against 65 carriers. If you're only using 5 or 10, this might take you 10 seconds to get the rates back. For me, it takes about 30 seconds or so, typically, to get all the rates back from those carriers. So we'll give it a sec here. Maybe I should get rid of some of those carriers because most of the carriers that I'm using actually won't quote on that shipment. And up here, we've got the carrier messages. And a lot of them won't quote because, you know, they don't support, you know, New York or whatever and things like that. So there's a bunch of stuff, right, that, and I have some that aren't set up right for XPO and things like that. But I did get a bunch of guys that are willing to ship this for me. And again, I can come in here and sort by the cost, by the delivery days, all of those sorts of things, and then choose the carrier I want to use at this point. This same rate quoting, I can do at the sales order or the sales quote level. Here I'm doing it actually at the warehouse level. So if you don't have that carrier specified on that order yet, and you're saying, hey, warehouse, you figure out how you're sending this out the door, this is how I would do it. I say, give me my bill of lading or give me my shipping labels, and it'll allow the warehouse personnel to select a carrier if you want to set it up that way. And of course, these guys are by far the cheapest, so I'm going to choose them, and it's going to come in. And what it'll do at this point is it'll go out and it'll schedule a pickup. I didn't really show you, but I can come in and set all my accessorials, my pickup, schedule pickup date, all of that kind of stuff, and get all that in. So what it actually did was it downloaded the bill of lading from the carrier. So here's the carrier's bill of lading that they send back, and you know, I'll print this out and I'm good to go. Or if I like, I can also print the bill of lading directly from within Business Central. So you see this one that comes from the carrier, and I've got a bill of lading that is built in Business Central that you can customize and do whatever you want with. And they're both very similar concepts, right? You know, it's, again, you can come in and customize this whichever way you like. It's got all the goodies on there and those sorts of things. Okay. Anyway, that's it, right? What that did was it went out to all my LTL carriers. I got to choose the best, gave me the rates. I got to choose the best one. It scheduled a pickup with that carrier. It gave me my bill of lading. And where you saw there's a print preview there, I can print my pallet labels at that point, or I can print my pallet labels anytime I like, and I'm good to go. I don't have to be on the phone or whatever, or send emails and figure out how I'm going to ship it. I can do that all within about 30 seconds right here inside Business Central. Pretty straightforward. And just as a side note, you know, I didn't mention the options, or I mentioned them, I didn't show them, but all of the options that you could set. So here's my scheduled pickup date and time, and that will schedule that pickup with the carrier and the dock and everything else that I want them to come to. But I can come in here and set all my accessorials and everything else, like I need a pallet jack pickup, or I need, you know, lift gate delivery, or any of those sorts of things that I need to set up here that'll influence the rate quote and the service that I'm going to get from that carrier. Okay. All right, so that's LTL. Really, it works exactly the same as parcels. The way you're doing parcel or LTL, I go beep beep, and hey, I've got all my labels or bill of lading or anything else I need. Now, we talked a little bit about that cost and everything else that we're recording, right? We're recording the cost of the shipping and what we're charging customers. Well, how do I report on that? Well, there's a bunch of ways you can report on that. You can actually use the manifest report. And the manifest report is good for a number of things. One is it's a manifest, so you can use as you're loading the truck and things like that. It can also be used to reconcile your carrier invoices. So if I get an invoice from UPS here for $1,500 roughly, I can actually go in there and reconcile by the tracking details. Did I get overcharged, or did they respect the quote that they gave me, or were there extra charges, those sorts of things. So I can use it for that as well. So this manifest report will track the costs and everything, and we can link that to what we've actually charged the customer. So there are reports you can use, or screens you can use within Business Central to do that. But what we also have is in Power BI, there's an app called the Dynamic Ship Analysis app that you can install from AppSource into Power BI. That gives you a nice little dashboard as to what we're doing in the shipping department. How much are we spending by carrier, by warehouse location, all of those sorts of things, by customer, all of that kind of stuff. So you can drill down on this, right? I can come in here and filter and drill down by date and all those sorts of things. So this little initial summary dashboard gives you a lot of good information. I can see what I'm spending, what my shipping volume is by month, all of those sorts of things from here. And what I was just talking about is, are we making or losing money on our shipping? Well, this particular one just shows me by customer, but all the data is there to be able to report by carrier, by state, by carrier, whatever criteria you want, even item number if you're shipping, one item on an order at a time or something like that, because we tie that shipping cost right back to the sales order, to the customer, everything else. And you can see here, these guys, we've charged them $4,000 in shipping for whatever time frame I've got this filtered to, but we've actually lost $800 on those shipping charges with that particular customer, probably because they get a lot of free shipping. But you can get these types of insights now with the data that I get as really a side effect of going beep beep a couple of times in the interface, or not even going beep beep, just saying, give me 2 shipping labels. Well, I get all this ability to do these analyses just as really a side effect of being more efficient in the way I'm shipping. So you can't really beat that. All right, anyway, there's a bunch of goodies in here. One of the things I will mention that's kind of cool, these trends don't really illustrate it, but we find when we go out there, most people are using one carrier, maybe 2, because it's easy, right? Yeah, I run WorldShip. I don't want to learn any other software or do anything else. That's what I use, and I know how to use it, and so I use UPS. Well, what if other carriers have better benefits, better shipping, maybe better rates, things like that? With Dynamic Ship, because it's all the same interface and we can talk to any carrier, what we find is people that were using one carrier all of a sudden start using many more carriers because they're finding to ship to a certain state or a specific customer or whatever, they're actually getting better rates, and they're able to make use of those alternate carriers to get a better shipping experience for the customers. All right, so that's the analysis app. And again, all that information is in Business Central. You can pull it out into your own dashboards or do whatever the heck you want with it. Now, one last minor little thing, I don't want to confuse anybody on this, but I will briefly talk about sort of the free app, which is Ordership Express. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to go into the sales order shipping screen, which if you don't, that's a built-in Business Central screen. I could go directly to the sales order or whatever. But if I don't want dynamic ship, if I'm only doing domestic shipments and I'm just doing parcel and I'm using a few carriers, Ordership Express might be the tool for you. And the way you do it, whether this is a sales order, like I'm in sales order shipment again, but I can come into a sales order, I can just hit this create shipping labels, and it looks very much like what you saw in Dynamic Ship. I just enter, the packages that I'm shipping, the weights, UPS ground, hit get label, and I get my shipping label. I'll get the freight cost, I'll add the freight cost and the markup onto the sales order, and I'm good to go. And in my case, I have it opening up here as a PDF. But this would, if you're using our print node connector, which is a free tool for cloud printing, this label would be on your printer immediately, and that's it. So again, if you're doing parcel and domestic shipments, that Ordership Express may be everything you need. It doesn't cost you a cent. You get this ability to come in here, create your labels, set some of your options, and away you go. Very, very simple to use. Okay. And I didn't mention both Dynamic Ship and Ordership Express do add the package tracking number back from the carrier into the sales order, and you can use that to track your packages and everything else. And here, incidentally, from that Ordership Express, we added on that shipping charge onto the sales order. All right, I think that's covered off everything I wanted to cover. So what we're going to do is go back in here and talk a little bit about, you know, what's it going to cost you. You're all sitting there thinking, that was awesome. I need that. How much is it? Well, not much. So we don't price it by packing station or anything like that. A lot of the solutions out there are sort of priced by station or by user. We price it by location. So the location is really your warehouse, so your physical shipping location. And so there's one cost per location. And if you have multiple locations, that cost goes down pretty significantly. So the first location is $200 US, and multiple locations, like if you have 5 locations, it drops down to $100 per location, right? And that's per month. And there is annual discounts available as well. So if you get an annual subscription, you save 8% on top of that. So yeah, no user base, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, no other thing. The only thing that there might be an additional cost for is what we call a freight integration provider. So those are the APIs we talk to get the rates. So let's just hit the next page here. So again, we call them API provider or freight integration provider. And the default one we use for parcel shipments is called EasyPost. And EasyPost will give you, if you're using Dynamic Ship, you get 10,000 shipments a month at no cost. So if you're doing more than 10,000 shipments a month, you'll talk to EasyPost, and they'll set you up on a plan if you're doing a higher volume than that. But up to 10,000 shipments a month doesn't cost you anything to do parcel shipments and rate shopping, all that kind of stuff. When you're dealing with the LTL carriers, we support a couple of LTL integration providers, and you can check out our website for details on those. And they will have an additional monthly cost to manage your integration with your LTL carriers. So if you're doing LTL, there's going to be an additional monthly cost over the $200 I mentioned earlier, or $100, depending on how many locations you have. So just keep that in mind. If you're doing LTL, you'll want to get that additional pricing. If you just parcel, the price I mentioned earlier, that's it, you're good to go. And on the previous slide, I did mention that we do have fixed price implementation options. So sometimes the partners do it for you, sometimes you can do it yourself, but I usually suggest you engage us. It's not a lot of money. We're in there, we get you all set up, we train you, we support you, we do all that sort of thing until you're up and running, and away you go. All right. Now, if you do have any additional questions on any of this, you can go to Shipping for Dynamics. That'll give you a list of all the shipping options that we have available for BC, including the LTL and Order Ship Express and Dynamic Ship and all the things I've talked about today. And you can contact us on the website there and get information. If you go to the support link on the website, you will find our knowledge base, and our knowledge base has details on how you actually set up Dynamic Ship and Order Ship Express and all those sorts of things, and you can review that for usage guides and setup guides and things like that. But again, if you haven't done Dynamic Ship before, I typically suggest you engage with us or your partner to get that installed and up and running for you. It isn't a significant cost, and it does save you a ton of time and effort. And then once you're running Dynamic Ship, it's paying for itself within days, probably. All right. With that, thanks everybody. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and hopefully we will talk again soon.
Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great content.